What? What are you thinking? Why is this guy taking a pill? Does this guy have any problem? No, I don't have any problem. But problems. The root of one of my problems date back to 2008 when I was preparing for an engineering entrance examination back in India called IIT, Indian Institute of Technology. To give a context, it's one of the toughest examinations in the world. You Google and you can see it on rank 2 of the world's toughest examination. There are more than 1 billion applicants and only 10,000 qualify. Obviously, this exam was made for Kamal. The exam was all about maths, physics, and chemistry. My brain runs 24 hours a day and only stopped during the exam. Maths was like my father. Keep on shooting the problem, no solution. Physics was like my mom. There was always an equal and opposite reaction. I cried, and she cried even harder. And chemistry was like my girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. Explosive, could burst at any time. And as Amanda mentioned, cortisol hormone, it was always high for me. It did not depend on the time of the day. Whenever she was there, cortisol hormone, the stress hormone, was always high. No fight, only flight. Now you understand I was dumb at studies. I needed to be good at something to be better perceived than a chimpanzee. So I started playing basketball. My school after hours would always be spent on the basketball field. I was always living away from my parents in a hostel. As usual, one day I was practicing basketball. My hostel warden shouted, "Kamal, your father has come to meet you." I dribbled back to the guest house. Seeing me, my father got up from the seat. I dropped the ball. I moved forward to hug him. He stopped me. I was shocked. He produced a sheet of paper in front of me. "What's this?" My father had the result of my coaching test. "What's this? You again failed? If you don't get into the IIT, people out there will mock you." Don't let my head hang in shame. And please, throw away that basketball. That's not your future. He threw the report card on my face. He darted out. Tears rolled down my eyes. I was in two worlds. The world of expectations and the world of passion. They were at loggerheads with each other. Confusion and anguish had taken over my subconscious mind. What should I do? I dashed towards the room. I took out my nozzle and inserted it into the basketball. I felt a sting in my heart. My hands were shaking. My family was breaking. My dreams were fading. 2 years passed. It was the day of the IIT result. I was sitting in front of a computer. Somehow impatience had taken over my father. He was continuously visiting. "Son, put in your registration number. The results might have come." I entered the registration number. Attempt failed. "Come on, try once more." I entered once again. All the eyes were stuck to the computer. It displayed "could not qualify." I was devastated. My face was momentarily paralyzed. I wanted to turn it towards my father, but couldn't. After some time, I regained my senses. My father shouted at my mother, "This is the son we have raised? He has shattered all our dreams. He has robbed me of my respect in the society." It was better not to have a son. A son must commit a sin for a father to say so. Had I committed a sin? I don't know. But the repercussions of that sin lasted for 4 years. 4 years of engineering in an ordinary college. My father had already written me off as incompetent. The grief had made a permanent place in my heart. I tried hard to evacuate it, but couldn't. Finally, I found the solution. The solution was there in the basketball. I regained my passion. I made it to the college team. That day, we played the national champions as well. And that reflected in my studies as well. That gave a boost to my confidence. I appeared for another postgraduate examination called GATE. It's 6th toughest examination in the world. The results were out within a month. I took the printout and went to my dad. "Dad, here's my result." He did not look at me. He was like, "Do you still expect anything from this loser?" My All India rank is 19. 19 out of 20,000. My father did not look into my eyes. He waited for a moment. He hugged me. Hugged me after 4 years. Why a relationship built on expectations? Those expectations created a wall between me and my father. I had to wait 4 years for my father to hug me. I lost my passion. I lost my parents. I lost myself. And I knew many of my friends were suffering from similar problems, managing expectations, managing failures, bullying, the problems that arise either of peer pressure or parental pressure. I decided to open their eyes with my story. I shared this story for the first time in an audience of 25 to 30 people. When the event concluded, a woman who might be in her late 40s came up to me and handed this postcard. She just said one line: "I will never let my son succumb to my expectations." And there was a spark. If one story can have such a profound impact, why not multiply its effect? I started this initiative called the Wanderlust Souls, which was very simple. Have a gathering of around 50 people and have 5 to 6 people share stories. Stories about pain, struggles, and problem, so that it could help mitigate their problems. And when I started researching, where are these problems? These problems lie at 3 different levels: heart, humans, humanity. Heart, when there's a disconnect between what you're doing and what you want to do. Human, when there's a disconnect between you and your loved ones. Humanity, when there's a disconnect between you and the society around you. The solution lies in stories. Personal stories, social stories. Personal stories are the one like I told you today. Social stories are the one which you see in movies, which you see in advertisement, which are used a lot by politicians. And those two stories, personal stories, social stories, might appear as different categories, but they come under one single bucket called transforming stories. Now, what's a trance? Trance is an altered form of consciousness, similar to being in a hypnotic state. I presume you were there when I was telling my personal story. So similar to being in that hypnotic state, and what happens is, when you're into that state, you see problems more calmly and in a more relaxed manner. The old associations, which were related to pain and struggles, those start mitigating and those are replaced by new positive ones. Now you would tell me, okay, that's quite simple. Tell me a story and the problems are solved. No. The hypnotic power of the stories depends on certain elements. Those elements are settings, teller, listener. Now, when I talk of settings, you cannot absorb the power of stories when you are in a pub. We're in a traffic with all the honkings going on. No, it's not going to work out. You need a TEDx-like a setting. Dim light. You don't see the audience sees me. That's kind of setting with no nuisance. Teller. It's not only about the story, but the way it is delivered. It depends a lot on the vocal variety used, on the body language used by the teller. Last but not the least, definitely the listener, you all. You all need to trust in the storyteller. Be fully involved in the process of storytelling and concentrate. Now, how would that happen? So, most of the time, we are in a baseline state of consciousness where we spend 70 to 75% of the time. And the elements I mentioned you, the teller, listener, and the settings, those facilitate moving from baseline to the altered state of consciousness. And can you see the small walls at the bottom? Those are most of the time 50% open. And the stronger the elements are, the valves open more, and the quickly you move from baseline to the altered state of consciousness. Altered state of consciousness. That's where the magic happens. The old associations, those were related to pain and struggles, those start mitigated and reducing and are replaced by new positive ones. The one that are induced by stories. The one that was induced by my story into that woman. The one that you need to rewire your mind. And the one that we need to rewire the society. I'm still a human, obviously better than a chimpanzee. And I do have problems. Do you still want me to take this pill? Or reach out to some stories? Thanks.